I was watching again today a documentary on one of my favorite BBC news reporter, the late Dando. I did a videoplex on her before, but this documentary was different than the one I saw before. There's so many different documentaries of Dando. But this documentary was totally different. The same thing, but it was just different reporters talking about it. It was her staff talking about how she became a rising star, done crying watch the UK, and she was making a lot of enemies by doing that show. And she had started fearing for her life. She found some kind of information, or some kind of information was passed on to her about a sex smuggling ring that spanned from the UK to the United States in 1999. That sounds kind of familiar, don't it? Because in 2020 we had a sex smuggling ring that spanned from Buckingham Palace in the UK, where the royals live, to the United States. And that was Jeffrey Epstein, who supposedly committed suicides in prison. Kind of funny, huh? Do you think in 1999 Dando had information that the royal family was involved in a sex ring that involved high-ranking American officials like Bill Clinton? And no telling who else is on that list. Because rich people, you're strange. Celebrities, you're weird. And you age very bad. So I noticed I'd be looking at my neighbors. They say they're in their late 60s and early 70s. They still walk in the park and try to jog. And when you look at celebrities in their late 60s and early 70s, they literally went to hell and back. You age very bad. It's all the toxin, the rough life you're living in Hollywood. But that made me want to do a different documentary. I'm not reading a newspaper magazine. I'm not reading anything online. I'm just saying what I know about Dando. And what I know about Dando is she was a crime watch reporter. She was killed at her flat in England on her front porch between 11 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. One of her neighbors found her. And by the time the constables, the police, and the paramedics arrived and took her to the hospital, she was pronounced dead on arrival. I believe she was 37 years old. She still had a lot of living to do. She was in the process of selling her flat and moving in with her boyfriend. He lived about 3 miles away. They had a suspect that didn't live very far from her, but he was acquitted. He wasn't a person. He was just a weird guy. Very strange. He had arrests on his records, and he even had arrests on his records of impersonating police officers, since at one time he wanted to join the police force but never made the police force. Dando case is still unsolved. The murderer got away. Now think, in 1999, the 26th day of April, when Dando was killed, she turned over some information that was passed along to her by an unknown source. That there was a sex smuggling ring from the UK to the United States. And in 2020, Jeffrey Epstein on Epstein Island was in a sex smuggling case also. That spanned from the United States to his private island to the UK. And Prince Andrew was part of it. Yeah, he said he want to go his own way.
Huh?
He said he want to go his own way. So this was 1999. Jill Dando had the Jeffrey Einstein case in her hands, and no one knew about it but the person that took her life. Her own television show, Crime Watch, the UK, asked anyone with information to solving this case to help her. As far as I know, as of to this day, no one have information on Jill Dando. Could have been the royal family putting a hit on a reporter that could have busted this Jeffrey Einstein case wide open and changed history. If this was 1999 when all of this happened, think about it. We might not never had a Donald Trump administration. Think about it. Think about it. You don't know who's all involved in it. We know the Clintons, they're sleazy. Bill and Hillary Clinton both visit Jeffrey Einstein Island. Think about it. What celebrities could have been involved in it? Like I said, rich people, you're weird. You do very weird things. And for years, people like me who just out here living normal lives and don't want to be an entertainer at all, we always have heard celebrities do like weird things. Like we hear rappers, the average black rapper is a homosexual. We hear your big rappers right now are homosexuals. We also hear have your big rappers that own these sports teams now are just a front, a scroll person for their Jewish boss. Instead of putting their Jewish boss name, they put it in their name as a scroll person. Jill Dando turned over the information to her bosses at the BBC. They said, this story will not go anywhere. This story will not make it on air. They put it on their desk. And I think right then, someone, even her bosses, turned it over to the people they knew was part of this ring, whose name was involved in it. And I think Jill Dando was getting a lot of death threats that led to her murder, telling her to beg away, keep her mouth shut. I think Jill Dando did the opposite. I think she moved forward. I think she pressed hard. She stepped on the wrong feet. She pushed the wrong buttons. She confronted the wrong people. She had the indictments on the wrong names. And the same thing that convicted Jeffrey Einstein in 2020 is what killed Jill Dando on the 26th day of April in 1999. And 3 years before that, another princess of England was also killed, Lady Diana. Rest her soul. And I still say Lady Diana, her death had the royal family name all over it. My name is Sammy. Thank you for enjoying another podcast video, my semi-videoplex, please help support my video and my audio podcast. I am on Patreon now. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. My audio podcast and my videos. And please follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and like it. Make me wonder. What was on those papers that Dando gave her bosses? What information did Dando give her bosses, her employees at the BBC that got her killed? I bet you 100% that Jeffrey Einstein's name was on it somewhere. She could have busted the Jeffrey Einstein case wide open in 1999. We probably would have never had a Donald Trump administration. I'll see you in the zone, the videoplex zone.